Well, good morning, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It's the 8th of September. Hard to believe that we only have less than 2 weeks of summer left, according to the sun here. Hope you had an awesome Labor Day weekend here. We had a pretty good one. As you know, if you've been listening to these videos for some time, I always refer to my girls as angels, and my little one, Angelina, actually had a little bit of a boo-boo back to school here. And then right after that, we get this gorgeous angel photo here. Doesn't do it justice, but it was a pretty awesome angel in the clouds here with the thunderstorm that moved through. So sign of things that she was going to be okay. Looking at La Nina, haven't talked about that in some time here. Definitely the models here on the left are now hinting at a potentially strong La Nina is kind of the consensus there. So it's a for sure moderate to strong event here this fall. And the map right here kind of shows the oceanic temperatures versus this time last year. So no doubt, much colder oceanic Pacific Ocean in the La Nina areas and up in the PDO area, off the Gulf of Alaska, a negative PDO. So anytime we've had a La Nina, negative PDO, positive AMO, it screams mild winter, more of a Pacific flow. So the Pacific Northwest can get a ton of rain. Those systems tend to dry out. That warm blob you see off the southeast U.S. coast, much warmer than last year. You park a big high pressure there usually, and that means that we'll just have a southerly flow across the most of the eastern half of the country. So we're not hyping up the almanac's forecast of a brutal, cold, snowy winter. Don't buy into that at all. We actually have it a bit cooler, a bit snowier than last year, but again, still a pretty above average temperature and below average snowfall season is kind of our general thinking. Although here we are in summer, we're going to be talking about much above average summer snowfall here in Colorado, where they're going to see, even Denver could see almost 6 inches of snow. So here today. So they've had some up in Wyoming and the Yellowstone areas, and very early start. This is pretty amazing how they've gone from over 100 degrees just a couple days ago to talking pretty much epic early snow here in the Colorado area. One thing that is not epic is the flu season down under in Australia, and this is good news for us. It's usually a bellwether of our season. Again, obviously they're 6 months ahead of us with their winter while we're having our summer, but 2019 they had a really bad flu season. Obviously we had one. This red line is this season, so they had their COVID surge like we did back in January, February, March, and then it plummeted, and that red line is their flu season. So it's been non-existent. A lot of reasons for that. Maybe the kids going back to school and there's social distancing and wearing masks and doing all the right things. Not sending your kids to school if they're sick, obviously. But the good news is their flu season has pretty much been a type A type season, which is the more serious strain. But the good news has been pretty anemic down under. So that's a good sign for us. And that's even despite Melbourne, for example, in southeast Australia has had some of the coldest winter season in decades. So that is a good news bellwether sign for us here in the States. Back here in the U.S., we've had some pretty epic wildfires out in California, and unfortunately we're going to get a little bit of a wind shift here today and tomorrow. So winds will go from northwest to southeast in spots, and that could shift the fires dramatically in a different direction. So God bless the folks out there fighting these fires here. Last week, summer here, again, this is for our big retail customers, like to see how the weather's different than last year, but much cooler in the U.S. Again, we'd say it's 0.4 degrees cooler than last year, coolest in 3 years nationally. Still makes it the 12th warmest of the past 35 years. Been about 30% wetter than last year, but still 18th driest in 35 years, so slightly below average national temperatures. Europe was about 1.3 degrees cooler than a year ago. Russia, pretty hot. Australia, a bit warmer. And map incept left is temps versus average. Looking at this week here, 8 through 14 September. Now this bleeds into a little bit of next week since we're off by a day here, but 3.6 degrees colder than last year, coolest in 3 years, below average national temperatures, but warm East Coast and hot West Coast. Wetter than last year and second wettest in 35 years. We'll take all that rain in Texas. They desperately need it. Snowfall, obviously, we don't usually talk about that in summer, but most in 35 years in the Rocky Mountains. The other thing that's pretty active here, and we're going to blow through these names here pretty quickly here. We have 4 tropical systems out there. Paulette and Renee have formed, putting us at 17 systems so far. There's only 21 names in the Hurricane Center's list, and after that, we're going to go to the Greek alphabet. So we are crushing the 2005 season, which was the record season. We're already 11 days ahead when that year had Renee. So again, a very, very active season. And even beyond what this graphic shows here for the next 5 days is many waves coming off of Africa. So the late September, early October time frame, the U.S. is definitely a lot of activity to contend with. So most of these storms will probably be fish storms, Paulette and Renee, but have to watch a weak system off the East Coast that has some potential here this week. Looking at next week across the U.S., 15 through 21 September, again, 3.6 degrees cooler than last year, coolest in 6 years, but that's still 13th warmest in 35 years, and we're starting to, where it was really, really cold in Denver, it's much, much warmer. So just a brief early shot of winter and summer here, and then back to summer. Wettest in 7 years, fifth wettest in 35 years with above average national rainfall. So overall here for the 2-week world trends, 8 through 21 September, again, a warming trend will expand after this cool shot in the U.S., central U.S., and then a gradual warming trend as we go into the, again, 3rd week of September. So again, that time frame, we'll have to watch the coastal areas. So have a great week, folks, and we'll be back here this time next week.